Last week we talked about Dungeon Saga. This week we're going to be taking a look from Mantic Games' Dungeon Saga: The Adventurer's Companion. This actually works with the main game, but cannot work without it. So let's take a look and see what we get inside the box and see if it's worth it. Now, The Adventurer's Companion comes with a 96-page softback Adventurer's Companion book, which has additional rules as well as 30 pages of the rules that actually come in Dungeon Saga as itself. It comes with a pad of character sheets. It comes with more Overlord cards, some more major spell cards, which aren't shown here, minor and major, song cards, which are new, 59 more magical items, trap cards, location cards, which we'll explain later as well, 24 event cards, invisible Overlord cards, Uncharted dungeon cards, and over 100 counters, which you don't need to see. They're just additional counters like you saw in the Dungeon Saga itself. So let's take a look at this and see how this changes and fits into the game. Now, the first new cards that are introduced here are the Uncharted dungeon cards. And what are the Uncharted dungeon cards? Well, as you can see on the bottom here, there is a B. They have a set A through, I believe it's a F. And there's about 10 cards each. So depending on the size of the dungeon that you want, you would grab one from each letter, mix them together, and that would be the pile that the Overlord would use. So in this case, when it was turned over, B, you would set up the pieces of the dungeon. It would show the actual spawn points, and that's where the red dots come in, as well as showing you where the barrels go and the treasure chests are for that particular level. Now, if you notice, there are dice over here, 1 and 2, and then 3 to 6 over here. At the beginning of, once the heroes enter into the dungeon, you would roll a die, and that is where the door and the exit would be for this particular area. Once you make it to the door, you would then turn over the next card, and it would show you where you would enter in through with the red arrow, and how to build the next section, and where the creature spawned from, if there's any chest, and again where the exits are, which you would roll for. You would keep on doing this until you get to the last card, and then would negotiate the boss that the Overlord had chosen. Now, when you're randomly going through the dungeon, every time you enter a new dungeon area, an event card is pulled. And this here will tell you all the different things that are inside those Uncharted dungeon areas. So for instance, if we were coming in here and we had to spawn monsters in these red areas, right here would tell you the total number of levels, which is 8. Now, that doesn't mean anything to you now, but I will show you soon what the level 8 means. The level of locks and what treasures are inside that dungeon area. Now, this is only seen by the Overlord. But before the game even starts, the heroes can actually grab a card, not show it to the Overlord, and have to meet the condition below. So let's take a look at what this one says. The heroes win if they open all the doors in the dungeon. So they would keep this secret, and they would go through the dungeon and try to open up all the doors, while the Overlord would probably be trying to stop them in other ways. And of course the Overlord wins if one hero dies, or there are other objectives that are not met, or if, as we discussed last time, if the Overlord deck runs out. Also introduced are traps. So say you grab an event card that declares there's a trap. Well, you would automatically turn over the event card and resolve that particular trap. Right here we have a pit that obviously would not be good for our heroes. What the Overlord cards, the invisible Overlord card does, it means that one player does not have to play the Overlord. That they can join in with you, and 4 heroes can go into the dungeon themselves and have an invisible Overlord as well as an Uncharted dungeon. The flexibility is very strong here. This actually gives and does what the Overlord would do. He would activate one model. It gives who that model would be attracted to go attack. And it gives an order. There's surround, there's attack, gang up, block doorways. There are all kinds of different orders. Interrupts are the things that would happen during your turn. As you're going, the Overlord, the invisible Overlord, would be able to interrupt. Now on this card it says no. But these cards give you the flexibility to play the game solo or play it in a group setting. The game also adds in songs for bards, giving them special powers and special songs to create even more, and giving you more flexibility to even create your own characters. The game actually comes with a character sheet, and as you'll see in a few minutes when we start going through the book a bit, you'll see that you have the ability to create your own character, and you can make them from all kinds of different races, which we'll check out very shortly. And last but not least, of course, is the book. And my only really kind of fault is that they kind of wasted most of it by just putting the basic rules in the first 34 pages. But then you come into what we call character creation. And character creation is where this game really starts to take off, because now you can use just about any model that you want. Now, Mantic would like you to use their models, of course, but as you can see, you can do just about anything, from choosing races like bards, barbarians, clerics, demon hunters, druids, fighters, paladins, thieves, wizards, and all kinds of different kinds of creatures such as humans, dwarves, elves, halflings, salamanders. You could be a giant salamander. There's no end to what you can do and how you can put this all together to make a very original character. The game also comes with some pre-made characters and different races, and gives you some examples on how to make different characters and what they get as they level up. So you can start to give them experience as they go through their different campaigns, as well as give them professions. So it really takes on a role player kind of feel. But it doesn't just stop there. It also shows you abilities that you can give and level up, and everything that you need to know with these abilities as well. Then the game gets to the campaign section, where you can build your own campaign. And in between missions, use location cards, which are also included in the game, to pick a location and have an event. Maybe there's a shrine in town where you can level up and roll different dice to see what abilities you get. There's a temple that may give you additional healing, or something bad may happen even at the temple, depending on what the die roll is. This really brings a role-playing flavor to it by giving you the ability to go into town. So once your adventure's done, and how you'll level up and get new items for your characters by going to these different locations. Then it comes to the experience page, where it teaches you on how you can experience and grow your characters to get them up to that legendary status. Like the pre-made ones from the original set, you'll be able to turn over those cards and play with them in the legendary status in a campaign mode. It also explains on how to use the Uncharted dungeons and how to vary things, and really teaches you how to bring the most out of making Uncharted dungeons. Then, of course, it has solo rules. So if you're somebody that doesn't have anybody around but has this game and has the Adventurer's Companion, it'll teach you how to play the solo version of Dungeon Saga. And finally, the Bestiary. And this is where you can take all kinds of different models from the Mantic range, and you can have demons, you can develop your own bosses, you can use old figures that you may have. Now this is where the event cards would come in, and you would be able to use this. Now let's take the undead for instance, and let's take this particular undead event card. Now on this particular event card, we have a total level of 6. So that means we can use 6 points of level. So looking at the chart here, our levels are all predetermined. If we wanted to just put a bunch of bone piles, it would cost us half a point. If we wanted to put a skeleton warrior, it would cost 1 point. A skeleton archer, 2 points. A wrath is 2 points. A mummy is 5 points. So on that particular card, you had 6 points. So you would be able to spawn this much into those spots that you had available to put the creatures, such as on this Uncharted card, for instance. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces. You can use 6 points to fill those 6 spaces if you can, or you can just fill a couple spaces if you wanted to. But using this is just fantastic for the Uncharted dungeon because it gives you what the Overlord can actually pull out. He can use undead, he can use orcs, and it gives a variance, demons. There are more creatures and everything that you can find in this book that will just really enhance your experience and never play the same game again. So now that we covered the book and all the contents that come in the Adventurer's Companion, let's go up top and see what I think. I really like this. Being somebody that really likes dungeon crawls, this is really a fantastic addition to that box. But it makes me kind of wonder, why couldn't they just put it all in one box? I mean, really all you're getting is more cards and a manual, which half of it is the rules again. So that's the only real drawback that I have about it, is that I really felt that this could have been just one big set and said, hey, this is Dungeon Saga, here you go, here's all the tools you need to do this, and you didn't need to separate this. But does this make Dungeon Saga a lot better? It gives you just acres of imagination and tons of things to do. How to play it solo, how to play it with other friends together in a common mission, or if you're the Dungeon Lord, or the Overlord as they call it, it gives you the freedom to just surprise people with orcs and undead. It doesn't have to stay within the realm. If you have the models, you can do just about anything you want with it, and it gives you the ability to really just make a creative and surprising adventure that can develop itself. I really think it should have been all in one box, but once you get your hands on this, all of a sudden you find that you really have yourself a really good game. And you know, you can use just about any figures you want with it because they give you the rules to do so. Now, Mantic has their line of Kings of War, which they say that you can use with it, and that's fine and dandy. And that'll work perfectly because they actually give you the actual figures that you can get to get it in within the manual there. So after taking a look at this and taking a look at the whole set, it really kind of changes my opinion a little bit about Dungeon Saga and actually raises it a little bit. And though I wanted it all together, even though I have it all now, I have to say I really enjoyed this, and the kids enjoyed it, and we're having a lot of fun being creative with it. Some of the times when you're playing the random dungeons, you'll find that you'll turn over one card and then all of a sudden you'll find that you're log jammed, and that's where it gets kind of iffy. If the pieces don't fit right and the dungeon pieces don't go together right and there's only one exit, that you can have enemies blocking your way and there's only one way out. And if you're playing on a timed deck, then you're really playing log jammed, and some people are just kind of sitting around a little bit. But for the most part, if you can be creative enough and really just have some fun with it, it really works out well. And we've had times where we had log jams, and then we just had times where we just ran into things and went, oh my god, I didn't expect that in the dungeon. And you just to see their faces and the excitement in it. But all in all, with it all together, I have to give this an 8 out of 10, and I really, really enjoyed this, and I think you will too. And with them coming out with even more expansions and developing it, it really has the potential to be very, very, very good. Now, does it get confused again? Does it still have that problem where it tries to be too many things sometimes and a little wordy? Yeah, but it's not going to replace anything here, but it's definitely a welcome added addition. With that, thanks so much for watching this, and we'll see you next time. I'm Rob Oren.